That's a hummingbird moth. The pink champagne currants are ripe, and these berries are just so good. Hey there, thanks for coming to hang out. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Brighten Day, and my goal is to lighten you up and to brighten your day. So please subscribe, like, and share this video. It really helps grow my channel. Today we're going on an early summer homestead garden tour where we'll see an update on the flowers, fruits, and vegetables. I'll be explaining how to use them, and there'll be video links in the description with a more thorough explanation of the plants I show you here. Check them out. Having a lot of vegetables in the garden may have more uses than you realize. This bug here is just chilling on some kale. Today's July 13th, and as you see, I still have all of these pansies and violet flowers. They have edible flowers. I keep picking them, and they keep making more flowers over and over, trying to reseed themselves. And if I keep that up, they'll keep doing it all the way till the winter time. Along the fence, I have these thornless blackberries. I love them so much. They're super productive, and I have them all around the property here. I grow the pansy violets and lettuces in the shade created by this little fence and the blackberry vines along it. It creates a cooler microclimate here, even though it's the middle of July. It's a cooler microclimate, so I think that helps them keep flowering too. Next to the pansies and violets, I grow Swiss chard. It's kind of like a perennial. It comes back after the harsh winter here up north, so I like to grow it, and it has this really cool variety that makes these really cool colors. This one's like a bright magenta. I've got an orange one right here. This one's bright yellow. This one's red. It even has red leaves. This one's got super vibrant yellow stalks. And you can see I also have some white varieties down there too. Next to the Swiss chard and the pansy and violets, I grow some herbs. This one here is thyme. It tastes really good. It grows all year round. Next to thyme, I'm growing this horehound. It's a silly name, but I promise you that's the real name of it. It's got a really unique smell and taste to it. Just behind the line of different lettuces, I grow echinacea. As you see, it's a nice tasty treat for this Japanese beetle. It keeps them off of your roses. If you give them alternative plants to enjoy, you may get them off of your roses. It's not a guarantee, but if you give them more stuff to eat, it's very probable. The bees love echinacea too. It's a wonderful, beautiful perennial plant. You harvest the petals, and then you can dry them out and put them in tea, or use them fresh. But you can dry them to use them later on. It's really good for your immune system. And it's really neat. A lot of different bugs eat from it. It's a very hardy plant too, and if you can grow it in your climate, I highly recommend it. Their fragrance is very light, but if you put a bunch of them together and smell them, it smells incredible. It's warming up in the summer, so this red lettuce is bolting. It's starting to send up its stalks and going to seed. I'm gonna let that happen so it makes its own baby plants all over the place wherever it wants, and then I'll just harvest those in the future. I can't wait for that. You can harvest these leaves too. They get bitter as they bolt, but they're still edible. This is my first year ever growing spinach, and you can see this is going crazy. It has flowers all over the place, and they are so fuzzy and funky looking. I'm letting the spinach go to seed for the same reason, so it makes more baby plants around, I hope, and then I can just harvest them wherever they land. I can still harvest and eat all these leaves all growing along here too. It's growing like a vine too. It's really unique. Different than the Swiss chard. This flowering beauty is butterfly bush, one of my favorite plants. They are incredibly fragrant, and it sends out these really long flower stalks. It just smells so delicious, and they're wonderful. As cut flowers, they just keep cranking them all the way till the winter. I've never had a plant flower so much and be so fragrant. It is my favorite. I grow them in all kinds of colors. This magenta one is so lovely. That's a hummingbird moth. The butterfly bush attracts a lot of cool pollinators. The butterfly bush can get quite large. This tag said dwarf, and every single year I cut them down to the ground because they seem to die completely to the ground. They'll grow into a bush that gets just about as tall as you are through the growing season. So I've never had one get as big as the other one is. Do you see the size difference? You can see this butterfly bush got way taller than I am. I didn't cut it down last year like I usually do, and you can tell a difference. It's casting a lot of shade, and I'm definitely going to be cutting it down next year just to help the roses grow a little better behind it. This unique flower is yarrow, sometimes called Achilles. I grow many different colors of yarrow. Why Achilles? Because it has a special power for wound healing. These funny fern-looking leaves, you can chew them up and spit them out and put them on your cuts, and legit, it helps heal them. You can do what you want. I swear by this. I actually do this at home, and I like it a lot. It has a numbing sensation as well. I grow lots of different colors and kinds of yarrow. The white is supposed to be the most medicinal and strongest one, but it's probably also the one that is the most well-studied. I think they're all special and useful. There's these really goth, dark looking lilies that came up. I love them so much. I don't know the name of them though. I grow lots of different lilies. These ones are fragrant and are gonna pop up soon. I can't wait. They're gonna smell so good. Here it is, guys. You guys know I love it. My pink flowering strawberry, still making berries and still making ripe fruits. I didn't even get around to eating this one, but it's still cranking stuff out. I love this pink flowering strawberry plant so much. It has spread a lot too. It's really exciting for me. I planted pink zinnias here for a pop of pink color because this is my pink corner. I have it filled with all different cool perennial pink plants, like the yarrow, the strawberries, and this cherry plant. They're not really edible cherries for us, the birds will eat them, but it makes really beautiful pink flowers. There's an update on the rhubarb. You can see the seeds are very well developed. A lot of them have fallen and are probably going to spread all over the place, which I'm looking forward to. It's even cranking out more flowers, so this is really cool. You can really tell this living mulch with the violets and everything from the early spring filled in a lot, and I don't even have any extra mulch or anything going on in here. It just all grew and came to life, and as you see, everything's growing really lush and doing totally just fine without any watering. I don't water my garden at all, additionally, but I also live in a very temperate climate where we get a lot of rainfall naturally. This is the goosefoot plant, or called Good King Henry. If you see it in your yard, totally let it live and eat these leaves. They are really good for you and they don't taste that bad. This is my black hollyhock. It's as dark as they get. You can see the Japanese beetles and other insects are really chowing it down, and that's great because it keeps them off of my other plants. It's a really useful plant to have. It's a biennial. It's going to send seeds this year down, and then it's going to spread around and make more plants that will shoot up and come in the future. I grow this dark-leaved rose mallow. It's a hardy marshmallow type plant. It has edible leaves and flowers that are about the size of your head. No lie, it's really cool. I can't wait to shoot another video and show you guys about them. I even use their flowers as rolling papers. It's super cool. I can't wait to show you. These beautiful sunflower plants came up all on their own. I didn't even plant these. You can see the bees are obsessed with them now. They are loving it, and I can't wait for them to go to seed and make more. This is really exciting. You can eat their flower petals, and because I have so few of them, I'm totally not even going to because there's so many other flowers I could be eating instead. And their beauty is just so wonderful to look at, but when they're done, you can also eat their flower head. But I wouldn't bother because then you can't have any seeds, so I'm not really going to do that because there's a lot of other things you could eat. If I had tons of them though, that'd be really fun to try, but right now I only have 3. Nom 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 nom, look at them just going to town. This is another plant, a thimbleberry. It has the largest flowers of all the berry plants. It looks like a miniature rose, very much like that zinnia next to it. It's a very large flower and it's pink. Growing other plants for the Japanese beetles to chow down on helps keep them off of all of your roses so you have more plants to enjoy. It's not guaranteed that they're going to stay off your roses, but there's a lot of other things that they seem to prefer to eat. But as you see, the Japanese beetles really tore into this thimbleberry and the black hollyhock right here. They've eaten it up like crazy, but the other cool plants like the roses aren't as bad. The Japanese beetles are even eating into this golden raspberry plant, but as you see, it's still fruiting and it's not having any issues with that, so it's like a win-win. They eat and I eat. This daisy is just so huge and floppy, it's so silly. I actually don't like growing daisies because of this. They're very messy, and look at all that space that took up. I could have a bush in there instead. The Chicago hardy fig is hanging in there. It's probably just growing a lot of roots. It's not really doing much above ground, but I hope it's establishing itself so it can come back next year. The pink champagne currants are ripe. It's probably the prettiest berry of all. Each bush is cranking them out. There are so many of them. I can't wait to harvest them. There's a video link in the description where I show you guys more about the currant and harvesting it, as well as make it into a tea. You can use these leaves for a tea. I'll use these absolutely gorgeous berries, probably the prettiest berry of all, in a fresh jam recipe and thumbprint cookie. This is the shadiest spot in the garden, and the currants are fruiting incredibly. The Swiss chard and tomatoes and kale, they're all doing incredibly well. I got gooseberries over here, fruiting tomatoes, and they're all growing underneath the shade of these really big maple trees. The sun comes from behind them, east to west, and this is a very, very shady spot in my garden. But I'm really impressed with so much productivity still. They're really cranking it out. I'm so happy. I grow a lot of kale because I love kale chips and it's very good for you, and it also comes back every year. It survives through the winter time. It comes back through the spring. So I can enjoy it multiple years of harvesting, and the stalk just gets taller and taller. This is their first year in the ground though. This bug here is just chilling on some kale. This is a white imperial currant. These berries ripen to a white translucent color. They're really cool looking. and they taste so good. They're tart, but they're very sweet at the same time. Kind of like a lemon without the lemony flavor, but like it's still delicious and you want to eat it. Here's my jewel gooseberry, which is doing incredible. These berries are the size of grapes. They're really big, and you can see, just like the picture, they're ripe right now. They have this super dark color and they're easy to pick. They're so delicious. That funny brown thing is the flower from the springtime. It's a trait of all the gooseberries. They just have them at the bottom of each berry just hanging there. They're really easy to just bite off. And then I wouldn't eat that. And you can eat the berry. It's very much like a grape. It's very much like a grape. It's so good. It's cool to have these really early in the spring. These jewel gooseberries not only have delicious edible berries, but also this cool plant right down here, that's a branch that came down and it just naturally reaches towards the ground. It's established itself and rooted. So now once it's a little bigger, I'm going to be able to cut the stalk off of the mother plant and transplant this somewhere. It's making its own plants. You don't have to take care of it or anything. That's very useful. It's a great way to make money. And these berries are just so good. These are my ripe Pixwells. They start off green. These ones are even younger. You can see they're very green, but they ripen to this perfect dark color, just like the jewel, and they'll come off their stem a lot easier. And same thing, they got that little fuzzy thing on the bottom. You just bite it off, it's really easy. And then I'm holding the stem, but I'm not actually swallowing it. And that flavor, it is just so cool. Pixwell was almost floral. It was really neat, kind of like eating a rose petal. It's called Pixwell because it doesn't have many thorns like the other gooseberries do, but it still has them and they're incredibly sharp. So watch your fingers. I grow a lot of different roses. This one's a salmon rose. It smells delicious. And as you can see, the Japanese beetles have not bothered this plant at all. These are Double Delight roses. They smell super fragrant and they have this unique pink, white, and yellow coloring to them. They're very beautiful. They're one of the most fragrant roses. Even your dead parts of your rose can be useful for wildlife. The hosta is also starting to flower, and you can actually eat those flowers. They're very tasty and delicate. Here we have mullein, a very soft medicinal plant that is worth including in your medicine garden. I call this neat flowering plant Yummy Berry. It's a type of nightshade that is poisonous unless the berries are completely black, very, very black, all the way, and then they are ripe and edible and delicious. I like to call them Yummy Berries because they taste so good. But definitely do not eat these green berries at all. They're super poisonous. They have to ripen completely black. But the bees love them too. They're so good. In my climate, this is a self-seeding plant that comes back on its own every single year. It's really cool and I appreciate that very much about it. You know, life can get ahead of you and it's hard to keep up with planting. It's really nice to appreciate a healthy berry that just takes care of itself and grows. This unique flowering herb is called bee balm. The bugs love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed learning really cool ways to use these plants. Remember, there's more detailed video links in the description about each one. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye!